investment one now, because this one I've pre-populated. It's very similar in terms of land transfer tax. Now, investors, I'm assuming they're not first-time buyers. So there's going to be no rebates. So that's why you don't see a rebate line anywhere, right? These are 5 random properties. This is actually from a while ago, so the prices are totally off, but it doesn't matter. This was a 2-door property, basically, you know, finished basement and upstairs that you can rent out. A triplex, a 1-bedroom condo, a cottage property, and a 2-bed condo. Okay. Again, based on where the property is, you just need to select yes or no here to see if you're going to be charged that Toronto land transfer tax. Here, the development charges are in this one because investors would be looking at that.
Yes, G.
And you would just input whatever you think that development charge is. Okay. Lawyer's fees, again, I just assumed it's the same thing. For pre-construction, it's going to be a little bit higher because there's technically 2 closings. There's the occupancy date closing and then the actual final close. Okay, so for pre-construction, you're probably looking at closer to, I would add another $500 to $600 a month for that fee. And then, you know, for investors, they're looking at initial investment. So I include everything in their initial investment. A lot of realtors out there, all they look at is the down payment. And they'll be like, hey, Mr. Investor, your initial investment on this $700,000 property is $140,000. Well, that's not true. You're not counting the transfer taxes. You're not counting lawyers' fees. You're not counting title insurance. So his actual investment is $162,000. Okay. Rental income, you will need to do some homework to figure out what are the rents for that property, and you will enter that here. Okay. Same thing with property taxes on a monthly basis, condo fees if they apply. Mortgage payment will be automatically calculated for you. Okay. Vacancy, it's based on the area. You know, a year ago today, Toronto's vacancy was under 1%. It basically was never vacant. Now, that's a different story. If you want, sorry, go ahead.
Sorry, G, we're looking at the whatever it's posted in the rental market, like vacancy rates.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So the other way number I use for vacancy is if somebody has to hire an agent to fill that property, it's basically 1 month's rent, right? Which if you do the math, 1 month divided by 12, it's around 8%. Right? So you can, if you want to just be conservative, you can have it as 1 month's rent as your vacancy expense every year, assuming the tenant moves out every year. Okay. It's going to be different for like a cottage property because you may have a property manager or Airbnb fees, that kind of thing. Whatever you think it's going to be, you want to try and get as accurate as possible for your client so they can make an informed decision, right? Insurance, again, if you're dealing with investors, you should have a good insurance contact that can give you an idea of what it's going to cost to insure the property, right? If in doubt, overestimate. Okay. Line 29, your monthly surplus or deficit. That's just saying, okay, it's you're bringing in an income of X dollars here, minus all these expenses, and that's what you're going to be left at the end of the month. So property 1, the investor is going to lose $86 a month, which is not so crazy, right? Because any dollar you make is added to your income and you're going to pay tax on it anyways. Okay. The second property is going to make $86 a month. Toronto condo market got killed. You're paying $500 for the condo. You're only getting $1,600 in rent. Doesn't even cover your mortgage payment. And so you're out $750 a month. Now, this is not a deal breaker, and I'll show you when we scroll down. Some investors don't care about cash flow. They don't need it month to month. They're more worried about the price appreciation and capital gains. Okay. So here you can, depending on your type of investor, the level of the investor, they may focus in on cash flow. Now, actually, before I jump in there, guys, I forgot to do this. So the assumptions here, we're looking to hold these properties for 10 years. We're doing that 5% price appreciation. Now, the only thing is, I'm assuming the same price appreciation regardless of the area. Okay, so the tool assumes Toronto is going to appreciate the same as Cottage Country, which is not true, but that's why we're doing 5% historically. That's probably okay. Mortgage rate, 1.8%, 25-year amortization. And here, investors, they will need a minimum 20% down, maybe even 25 or 30%, depending on the lender. Again, it's the same assumption for all 5 of these comparisons. Okay. These numbers will drive your mortgage payment calculation. These numbers are driving your price appreciation numbers. Okay. So, investment analysis over a 10-year period at 5% growth a year, this $700,000 property is going to be worth $400 and almost $40,000 more in 10 years, right? In 10 years, whoever these tenants are, they're going to pay off $194,000 in mortgage money. Yes, now this assumes an $86 monthly loss for every month for the next 10 years as well. It's just to keep it simple. So cash flow wise, the investor's losing just over $10,000, but his net dollar return in 10 years, if he sells his property, he's going to cash out $623,000. Plus he's going to get back the down payment. So they're actually going to get back 623 plus 140 almost. Right, so they can cash out $65,000. Okay. Total return over the 10 years, 383%. Annualized is 17%. That's a great double-digit return. Right. Look at this one, the one-bedroom condo in Toronto. Even though they're losing $750 a month in cash flow, this investor would still cash out over $500,000 in 10 years on that property. This last one, 2-bedroom condo, losing $900 a month, still going to cash out almost $1 million in 10 years. That's why they don't care about cash flow. Okay. Any questions on this one, guys? Basically, anywhere it's, I shouldn't shade this, but this light blue shade, that's where you're going to input your stuff. I'll change the color on this one so we don't do it. Maybe I'll change it to EXP colors. Okay. And I don't want you guys to get bogged down. This will make you look like an expert, even if you really don't know what all the numbers are saying. If you just input everything and show it to your investor client, I guarantee you 99% of agents don't do this. And they're going to look at this line and these lines down here, and you're going to blow them away.
AG.
Yep.
Question on the monthly carrying costs. Like for example, property tax, condo fees. When you enter the amount, does it automatically put it as a negative value?
Oh, you'll have to enter it as a negative.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Yeah. If you guys want, I can change it so that it's all positive, and just change the formula for the monthly cash flow. But I just like to show clients that this is what's coming into their account and this is everything that's going out. Right. They see all positive numbers. I didn't want them getting confused. Or you guys tell me if you guys want, I'm happy to change it. I can make these all positive so it's easier to input, and we can just make these red or something like that.
No, the bracket is good, I think.
Fine like
This
that.
makes more
Bracket's good.
Here you're breaking out. I
sense, G.
didn't catch that.
This is fine.
It's fine. Okay.
How did you calculate the vacancy rate again? Like I saw you did some calculation up there.
So typically, like when you hire a realtor, they pay you 1 month's rent, right?
Yes.
So one month out of 12 divided by 12. Oops.
Okay.
I believe is 8% if my math is right. $8.33%
Okay.
is what it would cost. So what I do is 8% times whatever you think is the rental rate on a monthly basis. You guys won't have to do it. I can just leave it in here. The only time you want to change that is like Toronto before COVID, nothing sat empty, right? Like
Yeah.
right now, condos are sitting empty for weeks and months, right? So, and the rates were going up so much, like, you know, we're back to, I think 2016 levels in terms of rental rates right now in the city. Like a 1-bedroom in February of last year would cost you $2,100 a month. Now you can easily find something for $1,600 a month. It's a huge drop.
That's crazy.
Right. And it was hard even at 2,100 breaking even on this condo.
Yeah.
You're still losing almost $400 a month.
Wow.
Right.
Question, G, what about our cash buyers? How do you approach this? Like if they can do an all cash offer?
Cash
on investment?
buyers, you basically would have no mortgage.
Yeah.
But if you notice that,
So,
their rates of return go down because it's based on how much money they invest.
okay, now I'm confused.
So calculating your rate of return is based on this dollar amount, your net number over
Yeah.
10 years,
Okay.
divided by what was your upfront cost.
Okay.
Okay. Now, if you're only putting down 20%, your upfront cost is 20%. You're taking advantage of leveraging. That's why these numbers pop.
Okay.
Right. If you take cash buyers, they're putting, instead of putting 162,000 as their initial investment is going to be 700,000 plus the closing costs.
Mm-hmm.
So they're the 623 divided by 700,000. It's not going to be a big number down here.
So
Don't get
even
bogged down.
like, so
Don't
say
get
if you're
into it.
flipping, no, okay. No, because my dad's a cash buyer. That's why I'm trying
Yeah.
to see. I want to help him, right?
Yeah. So cash buyer, I mean, hey, if you're getting cash buyer, so two things will happen. Number one, they have no mortgage payment, so they're going to be positive cash flow.
Mm-hmm.
So if your dad's a cash buyer, he's making $2,200 a month in his pocket every month,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
right? After paying the
Yeah.
property tax, condo fees and stuff. And
Mm-hmm.
for you, if it's your dad, hey, guess what? He doesn't have a vacancy because you're not going to charge him to fill that spot.
Hell yes.
So, and then,
But yeah, I know what you mean.
you know what I mean? So, and then the price appreciation is still there, right? So 10 years from now,
Okay.
so let's see 5 years from now, he's still up. He's going to make 200 grand just in price appreciation. Now,
Mhm.
if we were comparing all Toronto properties, maybe I can change this price appreciation number to, let's say, 8%. Right? Let's assume they were all in Toronto. Now the numbers are really going to pop. Let's assume everything's in Toronto. Look at these returns. Look at the dollar return in 5 years, just because it's in Toronto.
Mm-hmm.
This sounds crazy, but guys. If you go back 5 years from today, like if you went back to 2016, anybody who bought in 2016, I'm fairly confident they've doubled their investment.
Yeah, at this point, yeah.
Pretty much everybody's doubled their money if they bought in 2016 or earlier,
Mm-hmm.
right? So this is not outside the norm.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Any other questions on this one, guys? I'm working on another one where you can have multiples. It'll be entering data on the side. But I haven't finished it yet.
What do you mean? Like, so if, say if they're considering like 3 different properties, you mean? Like in the
If
same.
they're like, this one compares up to 5, that one you can compare hundreds if you wanted.
Okay.
Yeah, and I'm making it so that you can basically copy and paste the data from Treb. Like if
Okay.
you run your thing, you just copy and paste it into the file, so you don't have to input all this crap.
Oh,
I just have to play around with
gee,
some of it.
you're the genius, man.
15 years in finance, like these spreadsheets, like I created these years ago. I keep tweaking them every year to make them a little bit better. Condos.ca is still using this one, but they don't know that there's a formula error in it, the one they have.
Mhm.
They're using my buyer tool, but it doesn't have that equity portion at the bottom.
Yeah.
And there's nobody there updating when CMHC changes their premiums. Nobody's updating it, right? So they're running around showing their clients the wrong info. So
Yeah, I didn't see that. I didn't know about the 7.25. Like in between the 5 to $1 million. That's something I learned today. I always thought it was 20% after the 500.
no, it's
So that's
it's
new.
up to 500 is 5. Between 500 and $1 million is 10% for
Oh,
that
it's 10.
portion. So
It
the
was
first
7. Okay.
for the first $500,000, it's 5%, and then
Yeah.
every dollar after that, it's 10%. So
Oh, okay.
if you buy something for $999, it's going to
Yeah.
average out to 7.5.
Okay.
And then
Okay.
once you cross $1 million, then it's minimum 20. There's no
Okay,
way around
gotcha.
it. Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. Again, guys, I don't want you to get bogged down. There's a lot of numbers here. What I really want you to focus on when you're talking to the client on this thing is, Mr. Client, your initial investment on these projects is going to be this line here, right? This is what we're projecting as your monthly cash flow, if that's important to you. More important than this number is, this is what you're cashing out in 5 years if you were to flip this property. This is how much you would have made in 5 years on these properties. And this is what your annualized return is. They're not going to care about all the other numbers. Those are the 3 lines you want them to focus on. Okay. It's interesting when I do this, there's a tipping point. I think 15 years is the best. Once you get past 15, for example, 20 years, the percentages start to come back down.
Now, my understanding, the cap rate, is it the lower the better or the higher the better? That's the one I always get confused
Higher the
on.
better. Higher the better. Cap rate.
Higher,
So going back to cash buyer,
yeah.
seasoned investor, cap rates are really for commercial properties. We don't
Okay.
usually use them for retail or residential,
Okay.
sorry.
Gotcha.
But some investors will still want it just to see, okay, if I did put cash down, this is what but cap rate is as of today only. It's not looking at all this information.
Gotcha.
It's not looking at 15 years.
Okay.
It's only looking at, I bought it for 700. Just to go back. So I buy this property for 700,000. I'm making 2230 a month net. It's this annual income divided by 700. That's your cap rate.
Okay. Okay, thanks for clearing that. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, I usually hide cap rate unless it's a seasoned investor.
Yeah, because that's the thing. That's why I was like, I know that usually like 8% and up is like the sweet spot. That's when you know, but it's true for residential
So-
purposes, it'd be irrelevant.
It's
I don't think
irrelevant.
it's a,
It's irrelevant. For Toronto, you would probably have, it's hard now with COVID, but before COVID, if you had a cap rate of 4%, that was considered good. If you were outside the GTA, you definitely want, 7-8%.
okay,
It's all risk and reward, right?
yeah,
In Toronto, there's little risk, so your cap rate's going to be lower. But out in
gotcha.
Ajax or Windsor or
Hamilton.
whatever, Hamilton, the risk is a little bit higher because the prices are lower. People don't have as good jobs, so incomes are lower. So there's a little bit more risk of your tenant defaulting. So cap rates need to be a little bit higher to offset. Okay, we're at an hour, guys.
Yeah,
I may push the next tool to next week.
okay. This is really good, G. Thank you.
No problem, guys. I'm going to give you a peek into the other